I have previously looked at stereotypes for both my own type and my partner's type, so I thought it would be interesting to look at stereotypes for my mum, the ENFP. The first stereotype I found is that ENFPs can't commit. Dominant NE sees constant new possibilities, so therefore it must mean that they are unable to stick with something like a job or a relationship. In reality, this is just not the case. My mum is extremely loyal and will stick with someone to the bitter end. Yes, she does like variety, and can identify with the need to experience new things and not get stuck in routines. But she also knows that she has responsibilities and can't just ditch her job because she is bored and wants a new challenge. I think this stereotype is possibly for more younger, immature ENFPs, who don't have children, a serious relationship, a house, bills, etc. to worry about. ENFPs are feeling types, and they know that they will negatively impact people in their lives if they were unable to commit to a job or relationship and just upped and moved on to something new out of the blue. So the more mature ENFPs won't necessarily have an issue with committing. Secondly is the idea that ENFPs are constantly happy and bubbly, floating on rainbows next to their unicorn friends, and nothing ever gets them down. Newsflash, ENFPs are human, just like the rest of us. They can be sad and have rubbish days just like everyone else can. My mum never fails to put a smile on my face, but she isn't always happy. That would be fake, and having secondary FI means ENFPs highly value being authentic. If an ENFP is feeling sad, then they will allow themselves to be sad, and if they're feeling happy, then they will be happy. This stereotype just seems to put too much pressure on ENFPs, believing that they are always happy-go-lucky and carefree, which can even lead to them not feeling like they can share issues because they feel that they shouldn't have problems, and that isn't healthy at all. The third stereotype is the notion that having FI means ENFPs must be extremely emotional and completely in touch with how they are feeling at all times. Maybe this is true for INFPs and ISFPs that have dominant FI, but it definitely isn't the case for ENFPs in my experience. They want to make other people happy and they deeply care about others, so much that they can almost mimic what people think FE is like. This means that ENFPs can be so others-focused or so on the go that they forget to check in with their FI and thus don't really know how they're feeling. ENFPs have tertiary TE, which always likes to be on the go, so having both their NE and TE working hard doesn't give the ENFP much time to figure out her own emotions, unless she consciously takes the time to stop, breathe, and check in with herself. My mum is brilliant at figuring out what I am feeling when I haven't got a clue myself, but that doesn't necessarily mean she always knows how she feels. Sometimes she's just too focused on outside issues, and her own emotions are less of a priority. The fourth one is one that I've never really understood regarding my mum. It's messiness. My mum keeps a wonderfully neat and clean house, and she has for as long as I can remember. That makes sense to me because her first function is an extroverted one, NE, so she is firstly looking around her at her environment, and will notice if things are a mess. I, on the other hand, lead with NI, so I first look inwards to check if my own thoughts and plans are organised, leaving the environment around me for when I can be bothered. I don't know if my mum's amazing housekeeping abilities are common or rare for ENFPs. I know it's a common thing to assume that they live in a bomb site, and another ENFP I know doesn't keep the cleanest house, but that is not exactly her choice to do so. So whether this is a common stereotype and my mum is an exception, I don't know, but I'm definitely messier than she is. And the fifth and final one is the notion that ENFPs are social butterflies because they are extroverts. This one is more aimed at the stereotype of being an extrovert in general, but I have experienced people assuming that my mum must want to be around people 24/7 and always be the centre of attention, and that's not the case either. She does love spending time with people, but there needs to be a connection. A quick chat about the weather and traffic to get here won't quite recharge her. ENFPs seek connections with people, and because they are intuitive, it needs to be a deep connection. And because they have FI, it needs to be an authentic connection. They can do small talk, and if there is nothing else to be had, they will do it. But they really get recharged through deep, meaningful conversations about topics that make them think. They are quite reserved, especially around people they don't know. Unlike SE dominant types, they don't always like to be the centre of attention. Their NE requires time to process things, so they will go through times of being quite introverted while they are figuring things out, before they can come back out of their shells and put the plan into action. ENFPs don't wear their heart on their sleeves. They want to know they can trust you before they are willing to share that deep side of themselves. I think they are probably one of the more introverted extroverts. Sure, they can be the life and soul of the party, but only when they are around people they know and trust. They don't have anything else on their mind, and they choose to be. Some days they may just want to stay at home and watch a film with their dog. Stereotyping ENFPs, or anyone else for that matter, as always one thing and never another isn't helpful for you or them. It shifts your view of them, and you then start assuming that something is wrong if they aren't acting how you think they should. Stereotypes can be funny sometimes, but really they can do more harm than good, so it is worth taking them with a whole barrel full of salt. I hope you found this interesting. Thank you for your time.